Good day, everyone. Let me tell you something right now. Life, it ain't that easy. It's going to hit you in your mouth sometimes so hard you'll be wondering, man, what did I do to deserve this? But here's the thing, it's not about what happens to you, it's about what you do after it happens. I know about getting knocked down. Oh, I know it personally. I've been broke, homeless, sleeping in my car, wondering how in the world I was going to eat the next day. But I learned something in those moments. You can't let life's punches keep you on the mat. Let me tell you something. People don't like pain. Nobody wakes up and says, Lord, please give me a rough day today. We all want smooth sailing, sunshine, and good times. But let me break it down for you. If life was all sunshine, you'd be a desert. Nothing grows in a desert. You need some rain, you need some storms. You need some of that wind knocking you around so you can grow. See, when I was homeless, living out of my car, I didn't understand why I had to go through that. I thought, man, I'm a good dude. I ain't out here doing people wrong. Why is this happening to me? And you know what I learned? I wasn't being punished. I was being prepared. I was being built for the life I had been praying for. You can't handle blessings you haven't been built to carry. God don't give you the dream without giving you the process. And that process, oh, it's gonna hurt sometimes. But that hurt is shaping you. That pain is stretching you. So when the blessing comes, you don't break under the weight of it. Think about it. Diamonds don't just show up shining. They start out as coal. And that coal gets hit with pressure so intense, it transforms into something priceless. Gold, you gotta put it in the fire. The fire burns away everything that's not pure, and what's left is worth more than it was before. Now, here's the problem. Most folks tap out in the middle of the process. They get hit, they fall down, and they decide that's the end of the story. But what if that pain was just the middle chapter? What if God is still writing your ending, but you put the book down before you see the victory? When I was out there in that Ford Tempo, smelling like gas station soap and sleeping with one eye open, I thought my dream was over. But let me tell you something, that pain gave me stories. That pain taught me humility. That pain taught me how to hustle. I learned how to tell jokes in a way that connected with people because I knew what struggle felt like. I wasn't just making folks laugh, I was speaking to their soul. Here's what I figured out. Every setback, every heartbreak, every disappointment was part of the recipe. See, God is like a master chef. He's mixing up your blessings, but sometimes he's got to put in ingredients you don't like pain, rejection, waiting by themselves. Those things taste bitter, but when the meal's done, you're going to see why he added them in. Somebody listening to me right now, you think you're buried. You think life threw dirt on you and walked away, but you ain't buried, you planted. And when you planted, you're in the dark, you're covered up and you can't see the light, but baby, you're growing. Roots are forming. You're getting stronger underground, so when you break through the surface, you're unshakable. So stop cursing the pain. Stop asking why me and start asking what's this teaching me? Because there's a lesson in the hurt. There's strength in the struggle. The pain you're feeling right now might be the very thing that shapes the best version of you. You can skip the process. You can microwave greatness. You gotta let it slow cook. And if you hold on, if you keep pushing through, gonna look back one day and say, man, that pain, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. One thing I've learned is this. When life hits you, the worst thing you can do is just stand there and take it. You gotta move. You gotta get up, dust yourself off, and take another step. Now, it might not be a big step. It might just be an inch forward, but baby, forward is forward. I remember when I was living in my car, I used to wake up some mornings so discouraged, I didn't even want to get out. I'd be sitting there thinking, man, what's the point? But I had this one little thing I kept telling myself, Steve, just do one more thing today that takes you towards your dream. That's it. I didn't have to fix my whole life in 24 hours. I just had to keep moving. See, Motion creates emotion. If you sit still, the negativity will eat you alive. You start thinking about all the reasons it won't work, and before you know it, you've talked yourself out of even trying. But if you move, if you keep showing up, something happens. You create momentum. And momentum, that's the magic. That's what turns a struggling comedian living in a car into the man standing on the stage at the Apollo. Let me tell you something. I've done shows where there were 3 people in the audience. 3. You know what that feels like? But I didn't cancel. I didn't walk off. I got up there and gave those 3 people the best show I had in me, because I knew one day I'd be playing to 3,000. The truth is, you're never gonna feel ready. Waiting until you feel ready is a trap. You think Michael Jordan felt ready the first time he walked onto an NBA court. You think Oprah felt ready the first time she sat in that anchor chair. No, but they stepped onto the court, they sat in that chair, and they figured it out as they went. Sometimes moving forward means doing it scared. Sometimes it means doing it broke. Sometimes it means doing it alone. But the only way you lose for sure is if you stop moving. And here's something else: when you move, you send a message to the universe, to God, that you're serious about what you want. You're saying, I might not see the whole staircase, but I'm taking this step right here. And I've found that God will meet you on the step you take. But he can't bless you if you're just sitting in the chair waiting for a miracle to knock on your door. You know why some folks never make it? It's not because they're not talented. It's because they quit halfway up the hill. They get tired, they get discouraged, and they sit down. And while they're sitting there, somebody else who started behind them just keeps walking and passes them up. If you've got a dream, you owe it to yourself to keep moving toward it. Even if you take baby steps, even if you crawl, even if you gotta drag yourself some days. But don't you dare just lay there. You keep moving, because that's how doors open. That's how opportunities find you, in motion, not in hiding. One day you'll look back and realize those small, tired, seemingly insignificant steps were actually the ones that changed everything. Because the breakthrough you've been praying for, it's not behind you, it's up ahead. And the only way to reach it is to keep moving. Let me tell you something. The difference between people who keep going and people who quit ain't just talent, it's their reason, it's their why. If your why ain't strong enough, I don't care how gifted you are, you're gonna fold when life gets hard. But if your why is rock solid, you'll push through storms that would have taken somebody else out. When I first started chasing my dream of being on TV, my why wasn't about fame. It wasn't about being recognized in the streets. My why was my mama. I wanted my mama to see her baby boy doing something special. I wanted to buy her a house. I wanted to make sure she never had to work again. So when I was tired, when I was broke, when I was hungry, that picture of my mama smiling in her kitchen kept me going. I'd be sleeping in that car, but in my mind, I'd see her sitting in a nice living room, watching me on television. That vision was stronger than my pain. See, your why is what wakes you up when you don't feel like it. Your why is what makes you take that call, send that email, go to that meeting, even when you'd rather just stay home and hide. If your why is just to be successful, that's too weak. Success gets tested. But if your why is tied to love, to purpose, to something bigger than you, that's when you become unstoppable. I'll tell you another thing. Your why will keep you from quitting right before the breakthrough. A lot of folks stop just inches from the finish line because they forgot why they started in the first place. You ever notice how marathon runners put pictures or names on their shirts? That's their why. When their legs give out, when their lungs are burning, that why is what pushes them those last miles. And let me be real with you. Life's gonna test your why. You're gonna have days where everything in you screams, this ain't worth it. I had plenty of those nights I went on stage and bombed so bad I wanted to disappear. Days I got rejection after rejection from TV networks. But I'd go back to that picture in my head. my mama in that house, my kids eating good, my family taken care of. That wasn't just a dream, that was a mission. Sometimes your why comes from pain you've been through. Maybe you grew up struggling and you're determined your kids won't live that way. Maybe you lost somebody and you want to make them proud. That's fuel. And the bigger your why, the more gas you got in the tank. But here's the thing, you got to define it. Don't just say, I want to be rich or I want to be successful. Ask yourself why. What does rich do for you? What does success mean to you? Who benefits when you win? What happens if you quit? You answer those questions and you'll know your why. Because when the lights go out, when the crowd's gone, when the paycheck ain't there yet, your why is all you got. And if it's strong enough, it'll carry you through the darkest nights straight into the brightest mornings. Let me tell you something right now. The most dangerous conversation you will ever have in your life is the one you have with yourself. I ain't talking about people out here hating on you. I'm talking about that little voice in your own head that can talk you right out of your blessing if you let it. When I was out there struggling, sleeping in that car, the hardest battle wasn't the cold nights or the empty stomach. The hardest battle was not letting my own mind convince me to quit. Because your mind will start saying, Steve, you too old for this dream. Steve, you ain't good enough. Steve, you done failed too many times. And if you don't catch it, you'll start believing it. See, your mind is like soil. Whatever seeds you plant, that's what's going to grow. You plant negativity, doubt, and fear. Don't be surprised when your life is full of weeds. But if you plant words of faith, confidence, and victory, you'll start to see blessings grow. Now, I know some folks think talking to yourself is crazy. Let me help you out. It ain't crazy if you're saying the right things. I used to wake up every single day, even when I was broke, and say out loud, one day I'm going to be on TV. Now, did it happen the next day? No. Did it happen the next month? No. But I kept saying it until I believed it. And once I believed it, I started acting like it. That's the thing. The words you say to yourself shape the way you act. If you keep saying, I can't, you won't. If you keep saying, I'm stuck, you will be. But if you start saying, I'm capable, I'm blessed, I'm built for this, your actions will start matching your words. I remember a night I bombed on stage so bad, man, the crowd wasn't even booing. They just got quiet. That's worse than booing. I went backstage ready to quit. I started hearing that voice. Steve, you ain't funny enough. You ain't smart enough. This is over. But then I stopped myself and said, hold up, I'm not done yet. This was just one bad night. I'm still gonna make it. I had to change the conversation right there. And let me tell you something else. Your self-talk has to be louder than your problems. You can't whisper hope while your fears are screaming. You gotta drown out that doubt with words that lift you up. That's why I tell people, stop rehearsing your failures in your head. Stop playing the highlight reel of everything that went wrong. Stop rehearsing your victories, even the small ones. Celebrate the fact you got up today. Celebrate the fact you took a step toward your dream. Speak those wins into your life until they become normal. Some of y'all are waiting for the world to believe in you. Forget that. Start believing in yourself first. You don't need everybody clapping for you. You just need to be your own biggest fan, because if you ain't cheering for yourself, why should anybody else? The words you speak over your life are like a thermostat. They set the temperature for what you expect. If you set it low with small thinking and self-doubt, you live cold. But if you set it high with faith, vision, and determination, your whole life will rise to meet it. So the next time that little voice starts telling you you're still not enough, I want you to talk back. Tell it, I am enough. I still am still here. I still am still standing, and I ain't still done yet. I'm going to tell you something a lot of folks don't believe at first. That setback you're crying over right now, it might just be the best thing that ever happened to you. I know. When you're in it, it don't feel like that. when you lose the job, when the relationship falls apart, when that deal you were counting on blows up. It feels like the end, but I've lived long enough to know sometimes God closes a door because he's about to walk you through a better one. And if he didn't slam that old one shut, you'd never leave. I can't even count how many times I thought something was over for me, only to realize later it was a setup for something greater. When I first started in comedy, I had a TV show. That was my big break. I thought, this is it. I've made it. Then one day, just like that, it got canceled. I'm telling you, I was crushed. I didn't know how I was going to recover. But a few years later, I got another opportunity that turned into Family Feud, and that took my career to a whole different level. If I'd still been holding on to that old show, I might have missed it. See, setbacks are like detours. You're still headed to the destination. You just might have to take a different road. And sometimes that road feels longer, bumpier, and messier. But what you're learning on that road is what's preparing you for when you get there. The trick is, you gotta change the way you see it. Most people look at a setback and say, why me? But people who win in life, they say, all right, what's this teaching me? How can I use this? Because if you don't learn anything from it, you wasted the pain. When I was homeless, that was a setback so big I didn't even know if I'd recover. But you know what? That time taught me how to grind. It taught me how to appreciate every opportunity. It taught me how to connect with people from every walk of life because I had been at the bottom myself. That setback became part of my story. And my story is what opened doors. Let me tell you something. People love a comeback. They love it because it gives them hope for their own lives. So when you're in the middle of a setback, don't hide from it. Own it. Let it be part of your journey. Because one day you're going to be telling somebody else, I was right where you are and I made it through. Sometimes a setback is God's way of saying you're thinking too small. You're focused on this little patch of land when he's trying to give you the whole field. But he can't give it to you until you let go of the thing you think you can't live without. The most important thing is, don't stop moving because of a setback. That's how people get stuck for years. They sit down in the middle of a temporary problem and make it permanent. No. Get up. Adjust your route. Use what you learned from the hit you took and let that be the fuel for the next round. Because here's the truth. A setback is just a setup in disguise. It's a test to see if you're ready for the blessing that's coming. And when you come out of it, you're going to be stronger, wiser, and hungrier than you were before. Let me make this real plain for you. The only way you truly lose in life is if you quit. That's it. You can get knocked down 100 times. You can get embarrassed. You can get laughed at. You can even lose everything you got. But as long as you keep getting back up, you're still in the game. The fight ain't over until you say it's over. See, people love to talk about talent. They love to talk about luck. They love to talk about connections. But I've seen folks with more talent than me quit, and they're nowhere to be found today. And I've seen folks with less talent, less education, less resources keep swinging until the world had to take notice. Endurance beats talent when talent quits. When I was living in my car, I had every reason to quit. I had no money, no place to stay, no guarantee anything would ever work out. And trust me, I had days where I thought about it. Days where I thought, man, maybe I should just go back home, get a regular job, and stop this dream nonsense. But then I remember why I started. I remember all the people I told I'm gonna make it. I couldn't go back with my head hanging low. I had come too far to quit. Now, you know what quitting does? It guarantees your situation will never change. It freezes your dream right where it is and locks the door. But when you refuse to quit, even on your worst day, you leave the door open for something to happen tomorrow. I want you to think about this. Every single person you look up to, every single success story you admire, they all have one thing in common. They kept going. Oprah got fired from her first TV job. Michael Jordan didn't make his high school varsity team. Tyler Perry had plays that flopped over and over before one hit. They had every excuse to say, you know what, maybe this isn't for me, but they didn't. And that's why you know their names. Here's the thing, life will test you. It will ask you, do you really want this, or are you just saying you do? And the test ain't fun. It's losing money. It's getting rejected. It's watching other people succeed while you're still grinding in the shadows. But if you can outlast that test, if you can push through the part where most people give up, you'll get to the part where most people never arrive. I tell people all the time, quitting is permanent, but pain is temporary. That feeling you got right now, that disappointment, that tiredness is gonna pass. But if you quit, that regret, that sticks, that'll follow you for the rest of your life. So here's what I need you to do. Make up your mind right now that no matter what comes, you're not gonna quit. You might slow down, you might cry, you might have to crawl for a while, but you will not stop. You will not throw in the towel. Because the truth is, you're a lot closer to your breakthrough than you think. And when it comes, all that pain, all that struggle, all those nights you wanted to give up are gonna make the victory taste so much sweeter. So don't quit. Don't you dare quit. You didn't come this far just to come this far. You came this far to finish, and finish strong.